Welcome everybody. My name is Paul Wheaton. I am the president of McCormick Systems. I'm glad you joined me today with this webinar. We're going to talk about growing your business with the right tech stack. More of an educational session. Hope to give you some practical tips and tricks for building a tech stack that works for you as an electrical contractor, hopefully to encourage growth within your company. Before we get started, we have some housekeeping items to go over. Everyone listening in today is on mute, so you won't be able to talk to me directly, but you can type questions in the question box throughout the presentation, and then I'll try to answer those questions as best as I can at the end of the presentation. We are recording the session, and everyone in attendance today will get a copy of the recording within the next few days. So again, excited to really present this to you today. Again, my name is Paul Wheaton. I've been with McCormick Systems for about 20 years. I've seen a lot of software come and go, so hopefully some of my expertise today can help you in choosing the right tech stack for your company. So before I get started in the actual meat of the presentation here, I do want to mention a few things. We are talking about a tech stack here. So I do work for McCormick Systems, which is part of the foundation family. We're going to keep this presentation a little bit more general, but I just wanted to point out the fact that this is a tech stack right here. So, you know, in talking about linking up programs and how they communicate with each other, you know, you have McCormick and Edge here. We're both estimating software companies. McCormick's more on the plumbing and electrical side. Edge is more roofing and fireproofing and concrete and those sorts of things. But the answer here is that McCormick and Edge, we API our information directly into Foundation, where in Foundation you can then do budgeting, you can do material ordering, all sorts of great accounting features. Now, also within this tech stack, what links up to them, we have a HQ Suite, which is more of our project management, crew management, safety programs. Now, obviously those two programs, they communicate with each other to execute all of your project management needs. And then, you know, added on to that, you've got a few more. You've got payroll for construction, which will handle all your payroll. You know, in the end, you know, after every couple weeks, you need to get your payroll done. We're going to handle that for you with that program. And then WorkMax is our other program, which is our actual time tracking out in the field that will link up to Foundation. So this is an example of a tech stack. Now, again, I am going to keep the presentation a little bit more general for you, but since I work for the company, I wanted to show you a couple of these things. So let's get started on the actual presentation here. All right, folks, so here's what we're going to be going through today. Quick little outline for you here. You know, what is a tech stack? Why do you need it? Where do you start? Define the goals and assess needs. We're going to incorporate existing systems if you have them, vetting the new systems, and building a growth strategy. So these are kind of some of the points that I'm going to hit today. All right, so let's get to it. Let's start simple. What is a tech stack? So for us in the software business, a tech stack refers to the software, tools, and components our developers use to create, develop, and deploy software applications for you, the customers out there. So we have our own set of tools like computer code, data management systems, operating systems, web servers, that sort of thing to, again, create this software. We need a software stack to create software for you out there, the contractor. But for contractors, a tech stack refers to the software, tools, mobile apps, you know, CRM systems, anything that helps you run your business. So, you know, some examples of that, the actual software, so estimating software, accounting software, mobile apps like time tracking out in the field, just other tools. And then typical components might include, like, again, project management software, accounting, estimating, communicating platforms, CRM. If you're growing pretty large, you might need a CRM software. So again, we'll start talking about that here a little bit more as we go through the presentation. So let's talk about why you need a tech stack. So there are some general benefits. obviously streamline operations and efficiency. This is important to an electrical contractor, or to any contractor. I mean, you're out there, you're busy every day with tedious activities. You've got you're out in the field, you're checking jobs, you're checking plans. So you obviously need software to help you with these day-to-day operations, and that's really what we're looking to do, is we're looking to streamline the operations and efficiency. Another big one, we're looking for improved data accuracy. This is huge. I mean, again, if you're bidding similar jobs all the time, yet you're getting wildly different numbers, you're going to have a problem. So that's where a tech stack can come into play, because you can use your estimating software, link it to your accounting software, and you can get improved data accuracy later on down the road. Obviously, this is going to help you to make better decisions. So that's important, especially, hey, do I want to bid this specific job or not? And then again, the time and the cost savings and running your business. So pretty big benefits there. These are the things we want to think about when we're looking forward to a new tech stack, or revamping our tech stack, or helping our general tech stack that we have right now. So some MEP specific benefits. Obviously, if you're doing service, we can help deal with service calls and dispatching, workforce management, if you got to track large quantities of inventory and SKUs. All of these things are really what is going to help you by having the right tech stack. So building a tech stack, here, where do you start? Well, there's a few things. You want to define your business goals, and we're going to kind of talk about that here shortly. Obviously, assess your needs. Why do you need this new technology? What is it going to do for you? The important one here, review existing. What tech do you already have? Are you even using it? We'll dive a little deeper into that here shortly. Then the search for new software. How do you even do that? Where do you find the right software? We'll talk about different ways that you can search for new software, how easy it is to really find them, and really what to do when you do find the right software. So we'll go through that along with growth strategy, and then again review and repeat these points here to find the right software for your company. All right, so defining goals and assessing needs. Again, this is important. So we want to answer these questions to define our goals. How many jobs are you anticipating annually? How many employees do you anticipate employing per season? What kind of jobs do you specialize in? Are you doing commercial, residential, solar jobs? These are things that are important, obviously, when picking the tech that you need in your stack. So what does your trade need to succeed, and then what size of jobs are you wanting to take on? Again, all important questions to ask yourself. And another one, do you want or do any union or government work? So these questions are important, especially when analyzing these other softwares, because hey, can the software handle prevailing wage is an example of why you want to ask these questions to yourself. If you're looking at an estimating program, how big of a job are you looking to estimate? Some of these smaller estimating programs can't handle the breakouts that you would need in a large job. So again, these questions here, you want to write these down. Again, we're recording this for you. You'll have these questions, but these are what you want to ask yourself to determine what kind of software you're going to need moving forward. So how to develop a technology and IT strategy as an electrical contractor. So again, you want to start with your annual goals. I'm aiming to do how many jobs, generating how much revenue a year. Important. Again, this will help you determine, hey, do I need a high-powered estimating program? Do I need a CRM software, customer relationship management software? This might be important. If you're dealing with hundreds and hundreds of clients, you're going to need a CRM software to keep you on track. So that's why, again, ask yourself, how many jobs am I going to do a year? How much revenue? I'm going to hire and maintain how many electricians, how many estimators, how many project managers? What's my office staff going to be? What is my goal? How big do I want to grow my company? These are questions you're going to specifically ask yourself. And then obviously identify processes needed to achieve these goals. So estimating and bidding software. If you hire on 5 estimators, is there a software out there that can handle this? Is it a networkable software? Can you guys work on the same jobs at the same time? Can you work on the same exact plan at the same time if you wanted to? So again, how deep do you want to go down that rabbit hole? How much processing power are you going to need? That's really what you're going to identify with some of these goals. And again, are you looking to do purchase orders? Obviously, project management. When the estimate's done, you're running through the job. How much project management are you going to need? Workforce management. If you've got hundreds of workers out there, how are you managing them? Service management. Service work is important. How do you have the software right now that can actually build an invoice and help you with that service management? Software dealing with GCs, invoicing and payments, payroll and taxes, reporting. These are all important things that you want to identify in these goals that you are setting. All right, and then what can you do manually and what do you need software for? Here's tools, there's mobile apps. What are they all for? The question is, what do you have manpower for? So are you putting manpower towards office work? So again, do you have specific estimators, or are your estimators also project managers? Do you have office staff that goes out into the field and does work? So will they need project management software? Again, questions that will help you in picking out the right tech stack. And then what can you invest in to save the time and money? What kind of apps and software makes most sense? Estimating, project management, procurement, workforce management, time tracking, accounting, payroll. There's just so many apps out there that are going to assist your business. And honestly, again, just being in the industry, you're going to get to a certain level in your company or size of company that you're probably going to need all of those mentioned apps that I have just discussed. So it's important finding the right tech stack. And when you do find that right tech stack, I think the important question here, and that we all need to kind of talk about, is how do these softwares, how do they talk to each other? I think I get asked all the time, how do you integrate with this software? How do you integrate with that software? Well, I get asked that all the time is because it's important. You don't want to keep re-entering information from software to software to software. So there's a couple different ways that software communicate, either through a CSV file, which is kind of the old way of doing it, basically an export of a file, and then the new software can import that file into its data management system. Or, the big one where most softwares are going today is an API. That's where you can automatically transfer information from one system to another. For example, I do my estimate, I win the job, I hit one button, that estimate shoots information automatically to my accounting program, where I can now, do budgets within the accounting software. I can order material. I can do, just countless amounts of information things that I want to in the accounting software. So very, very important. I think when looking at these softwares, looking at how they integrate is the biggest thing you can do. So let's move on here to the next slide. Incorporating existing systems. I think this is some important considerations to make. Utilization rates. How much are you using your existing systems right now? I think that's important. What features are available? Can you do, an upgrade? Maybe an upgrade will get you to where you need with your current software. And then additional training or consulting. I think these are some very, very good points to bring up when you're looking at your current softwares, because we get asked all the time. I mean, again, funny story, I've been working for McCormick for 20 years, And, people say, well, you must know everything about the software. Well, McCormick's so big that honestly, after 20 years, I still don't know everything about the software. Every month or so, I get surprised. I'm like, wow, the software can do this, the software can do that. That's amazing. I had no clue. So we get asked all the time, how do we learn more about the software? What can we do to really learn what we have? And most companies have additional training or consulting that you can buy, and you can usually buy it at a small level. So like, hey, I haven't done any training in a couple of years on my software. Maybe I want to buy like 2 or 3 hours of online training. I can do that within most companies and really learn a ton about what I'm missing out on. I think this is imperative to your business. I think you're going to learn a heck of a lot that you had no clue what was even in your software. So I always suggest, talking to your software provider and getting that additional training that you need. And really, we're going to look at the gaps in your needs and what you don't already have. So you should consider a few key things here when looking for any new software. So company reputation. This is huge. I mean, being in the business for this long, I've seen so many small programs come and go. I've talked to contractors that saw something really neat in a software. They went out and bought that software, and a year later, the company folded up, and they wasted all of that money. So really, some important things to consider is company reputation. I mean, how long have they been around? If they've been around for maybe just a year, I'd be pretty leery about that because, again, you don't know how long they're going to be around for. So you could waste that money. So I think some things you can do, you can take a look at some of the reviews of a company. You can ask for references. I think that's huge. How many clients does the company have right now? Does the software have features specific to your trade? I think that's important. There's a lot of general softwares out there, but an example is estimating. Are you getting the right materials in your database? It's all about a complete database. Does it have pricing? Does it have materials for your trade? If you're doing electrical, you're doing plumbing. So can that software manage like pricing for procurement or bidding? And I think the real big one here is it easy setup, and does it have custom support? So yeah, you can get a great software, but if that company's not there to help you get it up and running, there's going to be a problem in the end for you. I've seen it before. We talk to customers all the time that come over to us that, hey, I bought this awesome software, but the training was not good, or I'd call into their tech support line and it'd take them 24 hours to get back to me. I mean, that is detrimental to your business. If it takes anyone 24 hours to get back to you with a question, it's just not worth it to you. So again, be very careful on purchasing software without asking really what their support policy is, what their training looks like. These are all going to be just huge for your company in getting the program up and running. Some other quick things that you can ask for is the security. How secure is their platform? What can the company provide you to prove that the data is safe? Scalability. Will the solution work with more employees, larger jobs, bigger inventory? Again, I think that's important, especially like, hey, estimating software. Do you have 3-4 estimators? I kind of mentioned it before, but is the program networkable? Can you work on the same jobs at the same time? Can you have an admin that's in charge of all the pricing and the labor units, and maybe some security features within the software that won't allow a junior estimator to mess up those labor units for you. So big things to really look out for when choosing a new software. And then some pitfalls to avoid. Is something helpful or is it gimmicky? I kind of talked about that. If you buy a software that's only like a year old and it's got a really cool feature, but again, it might not be around in a year, so be very leery of something that seems gimmicky. And then one thing that's been coming up a lot in the industry, and I talk to a lot of customers about, is be wary about AI. Not really AI specific, but like AI everything. If it's just a strictly AI program and it doesn't really do specific programming functions for your business, I'd be leery about that because AI does have its uses, but software that's promoting AI everything probably can't deliver as much as it promises. And trust me, I've seen this in action. We are, as a tech company, we're looking at AI every day and what we can use it for. And again, it does have its uses. There are some really cool things about it, but I can also tell you that we have not found an AI program out there that does everything that you would need it to do yet. So maybe in the future, but right now I would be very wary of AI everything. Again, set up clear implementation timeline with your vendors. What does their training process look like? Make sure that they can provide you with a clear training plan with clear dates. Because if it takes 6 months to get something up and running, especially for a smaller software, maybe with an accounting program, it may take 6 months, but with like an estimating software or a time management software, you should know when you're going to be trained, when you're going to start using the software. So get that plan so you can be clear about when you need the software by, but realistic about how long it takes to learn. You want to know that. And then again, weigh expenses versus long-term value. Some programs might have training costs, consulting costs, and upfront software costs. You need to weigh the initial cost versus the long-term value. So I think it's important that if you do purchase a software that you look at all the training options. Again, just being in the industry this long, I've seen it so many times where someone will buy a software, they think they got it, they don't go through any training, they don't do the one-on-one with the company, and eventually that software goes to die. And you don't want that to happen because you are spending good money on these software pieces. I think the most important thing you can do is invest in your training and invest in your setup, because this gives you a good foundation to move forward and to add more software and to really build that tech stack. So very, very important stuff. Bringing it all together with a growth strategy. Fill in your growth strategy. I want to achieve X goal and we need Y this year. These software pieces will help you A, B, C, D, etc. We already have software A. Maybe we need some training on A and training on software B. We need to help find C, D, E. So all of these strategies are important, but again, I would suggest maybe doing one at a time. But before purchasing that one at a time, how would that one software integrate with the next software? How would that software integrate with the next software? These are all things that you want to think about before signing on that dotted line. And the other things to consider: if we grow your business X the following year, as we grow, are we able to manage the growth? I think that's important. What are we planning to manage this growth? Is the software already in place, or do I now need a lot more training? So maybe even bring a trainer into your company. I think a lot of companies are doing that nowadays. So if in the next year I blow up and I'm doing double the work, I may want to bring a trainer to my company because I don't have the time to send my employees to a training, or I don't have the time for them to break up the training in an online session. So you want to be able to manage that growth within your company. So there's many things that you can think about when doing that. And then again, I think the technology side of it is, will you need to plan on additional users, modules, etc.? This is important. When purchasing softwares, how much is it? How much does it cost to add another user? Because if I'm growing, I'm going to be needing more users. And then how many softwares will that user need to use? I think analyzing that will help you in in forecasting future costs for your technology needs. Finally, to end this thing, I think you need to figure out a review plan, whether it's going to be quarterly or annually, especially considering seasonality in work. I think, if I've got a lot more manpower in one season than another, what technology can scale up and down. Is that even possible? So thanks for sitting with me today and really going through these processes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get to some of the questions that you have asked me in the question box. And if you still have any questions, go ahead and type them up now, and I'll get to those here shortly. Thank you very much. Okay, the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to fire off a poll. Again, thank you for listening to me. I think before I answer any questions, we'd really love to hear about what else you'd like to learn from these webinars. I think if you have an opinion here, it would really help us out because we'd love to provide more and great content to you. So anything you can answer here would be lovely. All right, and then I'm looking at questions here. Looks like there are no questions today, so unless you guys are typing, I'll give it a few more minutes. I appreciate you answering the poll also. Awesome. Well, again, no questions came through. This was recorded, so we will send this out to you. Again, my name's Paul Wheaton. If you have any questions, I've left my information there on the screen. You can call me anytime or email me. Other than that, I thank you very much for participating. Have a wonderful day.